Rotorheads with Nick, Sage, and Johnny.
Go, go, Power Rangers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 28 of Rotorheads. Today we've got a special guest, Alex Rose of MSH. MSH.
It's good to know I'm in good hands here.
Yeah, MSH USA.
What's going on, guys?
Not too much.
Hi, Otis.
We've been
Otis, yes, thanks.
Hey.
Wait, no. When you say Otis, when you say Otis, you have to say Otis the cow. You can't just say Otis.
Just Otis is a little bit
okay, Otis the cow. I'm sorry.
That's great. I mean, I'm a guy, but if I was a girl and you're calling me a cow, I might be offended.
At least you're a talking farm animal. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's the best kind.
That's bound to get you out of a lot of situations in life.
I'll leave that there.
Well, it's good to have you with us, Alex. Today we're going to be talking all kinds of news. But it's been kind of crazy lately. Maybe it's just because it's before Christmas. I don't know. But yeah, we've got all kinds of new goodies. But let's get into what we've been up to a little bit. Nick, you been flying at all?
Yeah, I actually got out the other day.
Wait, what? Wait, that
I know, right?
That's not the answer.
Like 2 or 3 months.
Wait, I didn't budget any time in for you talking about this stuff. I mean, I just assumed.
All right, well, I assume my 700 done. Okay, next.
No, tell us. What have you been up to?
No, that's legitimately it. I haven't been out in like 2 months. I took my 700 out, went out for 2 flights with one of my friends, and that was really it. I didn't crash, so there's a positive.
Well, you didn't crash.
Sad.
You didn't.
I still remembered how to kind of fly.
Cool. That's neat.
But,
You didn't take any videos or anything?
Nah, I'm lazy.
Well, good to know you've been flying.
It was kind of cold and windy, so we didn't really try that hard to record anything.
Fair enough.
So, but there's snow on the ground now, so that's lovely.
Oh, just you can blow it around a little bit.
I mean, it's December and we're just finally getting snow, so I won't complain too much.
That's not bad. Yeah, I think it was like 70 yesterday, so I'm one of those warm weather beaches.
70 is like burning hot.
Oh yeah.
No,
so
last year at this time we had there was a Facebook picture that came up from like a year ago, and it was like 1.5 feet of snow. Right now we only barely have like an inch on the ground, so I won't complain.
Yeah, I'm not sure Alex knows what snow is. Have you ever seen it in its natural form, Alex? In its native habitat?
What's really sad is my kids have never seen snow. I have a 5 and 9-year-old. They're like, "Can we see snow?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll drive to Tahoe someday."
Yeah,
when I'm lazy.
I remember being a kid and being excited about snow, and those days are no more. I'm so happy when we have like very little snow. Yeah, snow equals work for me.
The
Alex,
only time I like snow is when you're outside,
just let me message God real quick. Let me ask him for some snow.
Yeah.
Well, you guys get snow.
Our cost of living is like 10 times worse here. So, like, you pay pretty much 10 times for your house. So you pretty much expect 350 flying days if you're going to spend that much.
Fair enough. I would agree with that. Yeah, it's got to come with some perks. Jonas, you guys can expect snow, can't you? You guys get snow in the wintertime?
Some, maybe, sometimes.
It was a very delayed, awkward response. Some.
I know. I thought maybe
thanks. Descriptive.
Disappeared.
No, I mean, thanks to global warming, we are mostly not getting any snow anymore. We had no, I'm serious.
I keep waiting
got
for him
warmer
just to
and
start
warmer.
on some
We did
rant.
not have a really freezing cold winter with snow in years.
Fair enough. We're on track to have our second really bad, worst winter we've had in 15 years.
I'll say this episode seems to be it's going to go one of those where we just go really off topic.
Hey,
so,
no,
let's
it's
get
okay.
back on track.
I learned something important. I'm going to add snow to the list of words that I don't ask Johnny about.
They're one of those triggers. So, Johnny,
Toast
have you done
and
anything
snow.
these past little times that we haven't recorded? I don't know how to word that properly, but there you go.
Yeah, you done any flying lately?
There you go.
Yeah,
That's an easier way.
So I finally got out and tested the Switch 283s
Oh yeah.
for
After you
3
obliviated
flights.
your oblivion.
Yeah, I rebuilt it and went out with Chris, who was in the area, and then we did also a little video which you can find on YouTube. It's called Oblivion Switched. That was Chris'
Not a little
creativity.
shameless plug there.
Yeah, nice marketing there. Yeah.
I mean, I want people to check it out, right? Right?
Let me
Because
guess,
why
you were
not?
flying with a jetty while you were at it too.
man.
Ew.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, what else can I say? I got sick right after that, and I haven't been out since. And what do I know? Switchblades are finally great again.
Edge.
I think we can go
Great.
size by size.
That's yeah. Yeah, one
We're
of my
starting big
friends.
and
One of
smallest,
my
right?
one of my friends is building Oblivion. He's so far real impressed with it. This guy Miles. So.
Oh yeah,
he's
he keeps messaging us.
that's
Really cool to see people building it.
Yeah, he's a friend, and he's really liking it. So he's I think he's got like a bunch of the stuff built now. He's ordered some more parts, but maybe has it flying in a week or so.
That would be cool.
Sweet.
There's like nothing there. That frame is like, it's like nothing. That's why it's so light, right? I mean, it's cool.
It's pretty well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the most weight savings out of the frame and basically the tail mechanics, which are super, super light.
Well, you guys just revised the tail mechanics, didn't you?
Yeah, we have a one-piece tail case with basically, like,
Well, you can ditch the
It's
zip
like-
ties now.
yeah, you just slide it on, drill through it, put a M2 screw through it, and just bolt on the fin, and be done.
Yeah, that's
How do
cool.
you get the belt inside it if it's one piece?
You gotta put the belt in
You-
before you bolt the tail case on, I'm guessing.
No, you stick the belt through the boom, put the tail case on, and then you have no shaft inside. One side of the tail case is open. You stick the shaft through the belt,
Okay. The one side
insert
was open.
one
That's what I was
bearing
looking
into
for.
the fin, because the fin is basically the lid to the case and closes it off. And then you bolt on the fin and tail case done.
It's
This,
pretty smarty. It's pretty smarty pants
yeah.
setup.
Yeah, our friend Andy designed it, and he had some great ideas for the rotor head as well. And, well, I mean, it works. It saves weight, it works, and it gets rid of one of the main issues of the old design, where the both halves could kind of slide out of alignment, which would cause
Cool.
shaft wear, and kind of also made the belt jump off sometimes, and that's now impossible because it's all interlocked, and it's pretty cool.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, go build one. Build one and then break it. Have fun.
And just print another one. Done.
Yay.
Well,
Super
that's
cool.
fun.
Expensive though.
Anything else that you've been doing?
Protos Nitro for accuracy is coming. Been working on that a bit.
Yay, it's
Flying
actually kind of
dynamics
flying.
wise. Yeah, it's flying as a electric Protos Max with a Nitro model. So the only thing we need to do is convert it to Nitro, and then we're good to go.
Awesome.
I mean,
it looks fantastic.
It's kind of the
Looks
main
really
part
good.
of
Thank you.
Protos Nitro, so.
Yeah, it looks really great. I'm excited to try it in the sim for sure. I've been flying Nitro a lot in accuracy. And I like the Nitro models in there, but you have to, for me, I have to tweak them to have a little more power. But I think the sim correctly assumes you can't tune worth a crap, so the thing kind of just.
Well, that's that was one of our questions. Jonas kind of and I talked about it a month ago, and we've actually I think we ended up increasing the nitro power from what it was, didn't we?
We haven't yet. We were gonna do that with the Protos Nitro because
Okay.
well, it needs to be done by motor and muffler.
Oh, right.
Right,
That's
but
cool.
but the motors right. I thought we increased the power of the motors that we had in there though, because yeah, because I remember I came to you because I was trying to do like full collective hurricanes, and the RPM was dropping like 650 RPM when you'd get
Yeah.
into full collective, and it just was like it's too
You know,
much,
you,
and so. But anyway,
you guys should add a little like needle adjustment so you can go from like rich to lean, and then when you lean it out, just have the motor pop out of the helicopter. Like,
oh, there
oops,
you
you
go.
went too
If you
lean.
so yeah, you do rich and lean, and then you have it affect a temperature function, and then if you exceed a certain temperature, pop goes the weasel.
Yeah.
Can you
and
make
then,
it like mine and just run it wide open?
Corazane.
Wah! Yeah, no governor.
Yep.
Just go
No,
for it.
no. You use
Corazane
governor,
having
but you
to
just
do
go
that.
really high on throttle. That's how I ran my nitro. It worked great until it kind of
Until
blew
it
a
doesn't.
whole piston and burnt it.
Oh
Cool.
man.
I just got a new engine too. Speaking of nitro, so one of my friends sold me his Tim Jones modified 91 YS.
I saw that
So it's
picture
got
you sent. What did you do to the
yeah.
piston?
So he lightened it. Like basically
Okay.
put he, like just took a material out of the top of the piston to get the piston lighter. So supposedly this thing has way more power than a stock YS and runs better. So
Well, it
uh,
should theoretically be capable of higher RPMs, I'd think, if it's got
yeah,
a
and I
lighter
mean,
piston.
and this is something Tim
Probably move
certainly
the power
charges.
band up.
Yeah, it's something Tim charges for. So I think if you send him a motor and I don't know what it costs, $250, and then he sends the motor back modded, and
Huh.
guys really like it. So, but this guy sold me the motor and the pipe for like $350 to like only run 3 times. So like I'm like okay, I'll
Yeah.
I'll take
Sure.
it. But I've been running mostly OS for the last like year and a half. So I have an old YS, but it kept blowing up on me, so I kind of gave up on it. But looking forward to trying a new YS for sure.
The Protos Max, or the Protos Max, the Protos Nitro in Accu will be coming with the OS 105 to start with, and then I want to get a couple YS engines made up. But YS doesn't play ball when you want CAD files either, so they have to be done by hand, and I don't have any YS motors, so
Yeah,
we'll see.
it's way
We'll
more
see when
work.
I get to it. It's a lot of
I
work.
guess I can send you my spare if you want to work on it, but because I'm not using it, I have one that I just don't use, and I have 3 OS motors, and now I have 2 YS motors, so I have like 5 motors sitting here.
Yeah, I may have to take you up on that because
So,
I can do OS all day long. I've got those, but I don't have anything YS either.
Cool. Yeah, and I also have a bunch of those. I have 2 of the MRCI pipes I'm playing with.
Oh yeah,
And then like he's working on another custom pipe that we're playing around with, like a tune pipe kind of design.
nice.
So, just some stuff to play with, and it's also for OS.
That's
So,
really
some-
that's so cool that he's working on that stuff. Just because like it's just nice that somebody's working on exhaust systems because there's a lot. I think there's a lot more that we can get out of these motors with some
Well,
different
yeah, I
exhaust
mean,
systems.
One of the realities of Nitro right now is that no one's working on new engines for us.
Yep.
And so while there's a huge amount of technology that could come into Nitro through modifying the engine and doing all these things, no one's really doing it because the market's a little bit small for that. But the guys doing mufflers, they're good margins, and you can gain huge amount of power. And when I went to the MRCI pipe over the stock pipe, the stock OS pipe, there was a really big bump in power. And I think the stock OS pipe is pretty limiting, kind of strangles the motor. So when you get to a pipe that has the proper opening and can allow the engine to breathe, it's just like completely changes it. So definitely a lot to do there. And this guy has like this guy's name is Max Massimo. He's got like a real lab, and he does all this testing with the different mufflers he's designing. So it's a promising thing. So,
That's really cool.
So I actually hooked him up with the Protos Nitro CAD, and he designed a custom muffler around it. So he's
Nice.
he's messing around with that. He sent me a picture, and it almost looked like he somehow like built half of the front of the airframe out of wood. I'll have to send you this picture. Like it doesn't look printed. I don't know what he did.
Yeah.
But it looks like. Did I send this to you? It looks like a piece of wood. So it basically sits on his table, and he can put the pipe on it and like try to fit it.
Nice. So he's trying to get something that's like it really just like fits in with the airframe.
He has this idea to make it more aerodynamic, right? Like He doesn't like the fact that pipe adds extra drag, and so he's kind of like pulling it in as much as he can and changing the profile of the pipe while modifying it for as much power as he can get out of it. And it's like it looks like a motorcycle pipe almost. It's like a tuned pipe sort of look, more like what you see the gassers guys doing, where they can stretch the muffler to get different power out of the engines. So it's kind of looks like that. It's pretty cool.
There should be nitro speed cups.
Yeah. So anyway, fun stuff, and I think nitro is really neat because there's so many things you can do to get power. You can play with bladders, you can fuel supply, you can play with the exhaust system, stuff like that, and that's a big difference in our hobby. When you get into these things with internal combustion, there's just like more to think about and do versus electric. So it's a different part of the hobby. It's really fun.
Oh yeah, it's like it's its own hobby almost.
It's its own hobby, and it can be a little daunting at first. And I started nitro only maybe a couple years ago now, and first thing I did was blow up my engine 3 times and rebuild it 3 times because my ability to tune and how I wanted to fly it were completely out of sync.
Oh yeah.
And so I would just be taking it to the red line and not responding to the engine crying for help.
Right.
And it took me a little bit to like have that sense of urgency when something's going wrong and not just keep flying through it, right?
Sure.
So I just blew the thing up. So it was it was a learning experience. And then I went to OS and literally put like 8 cases through the OS and really had no problems, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm coming back to OS.
I have a question.
Okay.
What breaks when you blow up a nitro engine? Like, what's the part that breaks first?
What
breaks?
Could be a lot of different failures. Your conrod can break. Your piston can get a hole blown right in the top of it. You can have your ring can shift and send debris through, and it will like scratch up your liner and stuff. There's quite a few different failure modes. Crankcase can actually be compromised.
Yeah, bearings blown out. There's just a lot of stuff. But I mean, once you get like comfortable with it, rebuilding one is a single night. It's pretty quick. So
they're so simple to rebuild.
Yeah, but initially you're like, what's this? What's that? What do I need to check? And so there's this big learning curve to kind of work through all the different parts of the engine and understand what you need to do when you change it. A lot of times when you change like a sleeve, you need to change the sleeve and the piston, and all this stuff matches up. And when you look at a ring, I mean, really for me, my big turning point for figuring this stuff out was IRCHA this year, and I spent like a day with Nick Maxwell, and Jesse and I were out there flying the Protos Nitro, and he just on that Wednesday he just sat with us almost the whole day, and like had us sitting there pulling our engines apart, looking at it. Nick is one of the most fact-based nitro guys I've ever met. Like everything he talks about is based in the fact and the science that he understands and how the engine works. Versus do this. Because like during that same day we had what you would consider 4, I won't name their names, but 4 other like legendary guys giving us all different advice about how many shims, do this, do that. And Nick came along and said that's all wrong because this is how much compression you need and you can't do this, and you should really be doing this and you should run this. And it was all based on real fact kind of approach. So and that's the way I like to approach things, like data driven. So Nick was just amazing. So I've been staying in touch with Nick here and there about nitro, and he's just a great guy to talk to about it. And his roots are in OS obviously because he has a relationship with Havico, and so he's been really helpful. So if you can get a hold of a guy like that, and he loves to help with nitro. He doesn't fly nitro anymore, and he misses it. But obviously in the first many years of his career with Curtis, and it was all nitro. And even to this day, some of the best nitro videos we've ever seen are Nick flying nitro. So
that's really cool. It's always nice when you can get just like find someone that can just like expand your knowledge in a whatever it is you're interested in that particular moment in time.
Yeah. And with nitro you have 500 opinions on the same thing, right? And, none of it's fact based, and then you end up in this like huge experimentation until you decide on your own solution. So to have a guy that does it based on like exactly how the motor is working was a total relief for me. So.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I started trying to learn about, and it's just this is the way my brain works and stuff. But like, I get a nitro motor. The first thing I did was go start looking into, okay, so what books can I read about two-stroke motors? Because I need to know what's happening inside of there. Like, it helps so much, in my opinion, to like learn how to tune the motor, and you don't have to learn that stuff, but it's for me, that's the way to go. Well,
It
like,
certainly helps. Like when you hear that sound, it's okay. It's pre-detonating. It's doing this. It's getting too much fuel, and you start to understand it better when you're tuning.
mm-hmm.
And instead of making a mistake, pushing the needle the wrong way, the more you understand, the more you're apt to make the correct adjustment,
Right.
and not chase the needles around. And then with Nick, he was really teaching me how to synchronize the needles because, when you're using the power of the model, it's switching between your mid and your high needles, and how the motor responds really tells you clearly whether or not they're synchronized or not. And that's a big deal in terms of getting the most out of how it's performing. So.
Oh yeah, well, you
stuff.
helped me out. You helped me out at RCHN5 a little bit with that, trying to and helping me kind of figure out what I was listening for and stuff, because I tend to tune just fairly rich where I know that I'm in a very safe zone and generally leave a lot of power on the table. But also for my flying style, it's not that big of a deal either. I'm not looking for every drop of power I can get out of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a safe zone. But it's like, once you get it into that sweet spot, especially when you're running like VTX blades now on Nitro, you can get just an incredible amount of. I know, hey, there's Jonas coughing. But yeah, you can get like an incredible amount of cyclic performance with VTX, where a lot of other blades will just bog when you start getting heavy into cyclic and pitch. Okay, whatever. I'm Californian, so you have to just excuse my.
No, hey, I say it too. They gave me endless shit for it.
Yeah. I'm Californian, so I may say quite a few things that perturb you, and you can just let me go. That's.
But guys, we are drifting off so
We're
far
just
from
talking.
what we planned to do.
It's true.
Yeah,
Should we get back?
Let's get back. Let's get back to some.
Yeah.
Let's see.
No
let's
more
see.
Nitro talk. The hell with Nitro.
Well, we are gonna do a dedicated Nitro episode at some point in the future too. But it's good because it's nice to get your input from, because you guys have a Nitro coming out before too awful long. So I mean, we gotta have faith that the guys coming out with a new Nitro know what they're talking about with Nitro, and I think we do.
Well, the main Nitro-y stuff, and we'll get off this topic, like the clutch stack and the things that are very specific to a Nitro model are, at least on the Protos Nitro, are based on well-proven components. So there's nothing scratch really about the clutch stack in terms of the parts that are used. So that part is very, very, there's no risk really. So I think it's something important. And then the rest of the drivetrain is really it's leveraged quite a bit from Protos. So it's I would say there's not a lot of new user angst there.
Yeah, I will say when I was able to see the model in person and stuff, I was really impressed with it. I think it'll be the Nitro to have.
It's been a lot of fun for sure.
It's so big looking, like it's awesome.
Yeah,
it has great presence.
Is a big deal. Yeah, it's not like there's different ways to do it. And it's still pretty light, around a little over 10 with OS, which is a heavier motor. But there's a take where you could take a 600 and kind of stretch it out, end up pretty light. Like the ultimate light Nitro would be like a Logo 690 converted to Nitro sort of idea, at the one extreme. But then, like when you're really flying something, it's a real 700 full size. You get a lot more presence out of it, and performance in terms of what it's doing. And I think that's really important because part of Nitro is like the presentation and all that. So it's really it's a full size 700, and I think that adds a lot to how the presence of it. I think it looks great in person compared to a lot of other Nitros.
I think so too.
Well. Anyway, back
what
on
I
topic.
like,
Yeah. Jonas,
what I like about it is that it just looks like a large 380, because I really like the design of the 380 canopy, and I mean that blown up to a 700 looks just great. I think you could even put that onto the Max and it would look even better, because it's electric, and
The-
I like my electrics.
Yeah,
does
for
it
sure.
does it fit on the Max? Actually, have you
N-
done that?
No, it's very. The frames are totally different in the Nitro.
Sure.
So yeah, it's
Oh.
not. But yeah, that's like that's the current style of the helis, right? So everything new since the Max has come out has had. Well, we went to the Evoluzione, which is that very sleek, thin canopy, and then from there it evolved to the 380,
Mm-hmm.
and then 380 into the Nitro. So you can kind of see the design ID changing over time there.
Mm-hmm. I think it's been improving personally.
Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna ask your opinions because
Hey.
to you, everything's ugly. An ugly fat chick. So it's like,
But then Sage flies an Exo.
I love my toucan helicopter. All right. Well, I don't know. I haven't done much at all. Like, let's see. I got batteries. I have batteries for next year. Those came in. All the voltages and everything look good, so they got kind of put away. I ordered connectors so I can change out all my connectors, and I got a speed controller. So I have everything I need to get the Kronos up and going, but the freezing temperatures outside, literally freezing temperatures outside, have kept me inside. So I haven't done anything with it. I just have all the stuff. So yeah. But other than that, just been working on stuff for AccuRC, trying to bring a bunch of new components in December. The Protos 380s moved up the list. Waiting on some new CAD from Mr. Bodos, so we can bring some more synergies. Man, let's see. What else? Oh, I ordered it. Okay, so the Sega of the NX4 still like goes on. It has not started or run or idled yet. I ordered a new head for it because, like I said, the old one had been cross-threaded because the way the motor sits inside that helicopter, and it wasn't meant for a 55, it was meant for a 37, so that the glow plug hole doesn't line up correctly with like the hole they put in the frame for installing it. And
The
so
little pug? Is that a new dog?
yeah, yes, and it flies in my helicopter. Oh man.
I
Okay.
get real off topic there.
No, it's okay. Just blew up my brain train. So I'm gonna mod the frame so that doesn't happen again, and I'm gonna put a new head on that OS55. And so, I guess I ordered it from RC Japan, so it doesn't even ship for like 4 more days. They sent me an email. But when I get it, I'll get that going, and then it's got the Protect True Glow or whatever on there. I don't know shit about it. It doesn't seem to want to work well for me. I don't know. I ordered a Switch Glow though for it because I know how to use that, and I'm just gonna put that on there because it works like no problem at all on the Compass Nitro. So I'm gonna put that on there, and hopefully the new head with a glow plug that's not at an angle. So that might help because the one that was in there was really mangled when I pulled it out. I don't know. Supposedly it had just been started and flown not long before it came to me. So I don't know how the glow plug ended up like it did. But anyway, head's getting changed out. So hopefully next time we talk, I'll have done all that stuff and it'll have flown. And I think that about does it for me. But we've got all kinds of news to talk about this week. Like
Hooray!
all kinds of news.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has
Start
been.
with the weird, stupid triple gear.
I had two crashes on Sunday, so I don't know.
Oh,
Oh,
two crash. Wait.
Back up.
Yeah.
We're going through that. 2 crashes. Let's hear.
What happened?
Yeah, it
More
was
info.
It was not a good Sunday. So I have a friend in Northern California. There's an area called Livermore, and I have a friend out there who has this beautiful ranch, and he has his own construction business, and so it's like this, I don't know how many. It's huge number of acres, like 50-acre property he's got, and so he has his own private flying field there. So every once in a while, like we gather up there or go flying, and so and there's like golf carts in this area. Like it's really an amazing property. So I went out there and I was flying my 770, and it's a nice setup. It's got RotorTech 760s on it, which I like a lot on that. I think those are like the best 770 blades out there. I just a couple flights in on it, and on the 770 I'm flying the Evoluzione version, but this is like the model that I have not crashed in like 3 years, like or 2 years. It's like been flown like so many flights, and so the rear magnetic canopy mount, it's like threaded onto the stud, and so it'd come off before, and I basically like fixed it, but I didn't do a great job repairing it. So basically, it came unthreaded in one of my flights, and actually I have a video of the clip of this crash. I should send it to you guys, but so basically
We'll include it.
Basically, no, don't include it. I don't want to post it. It's too ugly. But basically, the canopy came off and then went into the blades, and this piece that broke off that was like really old that I had like incorrectly fixed hit one of the blades, and like the weight inside the blade kind of like shot out.
That's always scary.
It was bad, and so I had suddenly no control. And it just like hammered into the ground so incredibly hard, I mean it was sad, but I probably could have prevented it because I saw some of this happening. I could have just like hit hold and come down, but somehow in my mind like, oh, I'll just like finish this maneuver, and then everything just exploded. So, so I feel bad because I had that couple seconds to make the right call, and instead I was stupid. So
well, sometimes having fun takes priority.
I mean, hey, as long as the crash looked cool, that's all
was
that
way
matters.
cool, and I've got video evidence, so that's always a bonus.
Do show. You need to show us.
Okay, I'll have to go find it, and I'll have to share it with you. So then okay, so next flight. So now I'm down one. I brought three helis with me, a 770 and two 700s. And so I'm like, oh, I still got two left. So this is my thought process.
Yeah, that's when you went wrong right there.
So I pulled out my 700, which is also an Evoluzione. And so I start flying that, and it's great. That one I have set up with VTX 717s, Scorpion Tribunus. And it's a really nice setup. It's pretty light. It's ballistic. I think I was running it at like 2150. So it's pretty fun. And so I'm flying it, and I come into this maneuver, I stop it hard, all of a sudden, like, all the energy out of the blades is gone. So the ESC just shut down.
Oh.
And so, like, I do what I can, I auto it. I actually landed on the head, and, like, literally, like, I don't know how, but somehow I retained enough energy, landed on the head, and there was, like, literally, even the blades weren't damaged. It just,
nice.
like, hammered the main shaft down into the battery tray, and push the battery down, but it has like a thick piece of carbon as part of the tray, so it just popped the tray out of the tracks.
Oh, nice. So it didn't even break anything?
So it didn't, and it like wedged against the servo because the collar slipped up. So I get it, I'm like, wow, that really sucks. That was like the next flight, right? I look at it, so one of my bullets had become disconnected on the motor.
Wow.
And sadly, when that happens on this ESC, it just commits suicide. So this is actually, so I usually tape them. I didn't have tape on this one because you put them together, you spread it so it's making like good frictional contact.
Yeah.
Right. And like I had done that, and on my pre-flight it looked fully connected. So like there was something it somehow decided to pull out in flight, and I didn't have tape on this one, and so but this happened to me maybe 6 months ago on the same ESC. And it also it committed suicide, so
it just blows the whole ESC when that happens.
It just blows the whole. It shouldn't though, which is really confusing.
Yeah.
What ESC is it?
It's a Scorpion.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why. I mean, for sure, it's like my bullet came out, but I would expect to lose power. I wouldn't expect the ESC. So I in a sense, I blame the ESC because it really, if you lose commutation and like one of your phases isn't working, like I would expect to lose power. I wouldn't expect the ESC to terminate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think it would just shut itself down, not
yeah
blow up.
There's no, and it's happened to me many times over the years and I've never had an ESC destroy itself like this. So I don't know what's going on, but hopefully
Well, when you lose commutation, everything is going to hell. You get insane currents, you get insane induction. No ESC
Yeah,
is
but
really built to survive miscommutation.
well, there's certainly just standard miscommutation, but then there's if you lose a phase, that's immediate. That's very detectable right away, and you can shut off.
Yeah, it should be clampable.
There's no reason why you can't, because when you get back to 2. So that's something that should be added for sure.
And that should be firmware addable if I'm not mistaken.
That's a firmware change, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Because other ESCs are all doing it. I mean, they all just shut off, just like an overcurrent, right?
Yeah.
Like okay, you just shut off. But anyway, so live and learn on that. So yeah, it was. So then my third heli came out, and then I enjoyed the rest of the day. So it wasn't so bad.
that's
You're
good.
confident. After one crash, I give up because I know the next one's going in.
Nah. Everything
With
does
the way
come
I
in,
go.
But see, things come in waves, but it spans days. So I may as well just live the wave out while I'm at the field, right?
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough.
So
I've gone to the
I did
field
all at
and put
once.
every helicopter I've brought in before. It
Yeah.
just it's happens.
I've been through so many crashes. I can't even fathom to say how many. And it just like psychologically, unless it's something really special, it bugs me. But it's not like it's just I almost don't even emotionally respond anymore. I just like that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
Yep, that's kind of mostly where I'm at.
Just
I
learn to
try
live
not
with
to
it and
get
laugh
too.
at it.
Yep, I try to laugh at it as best I can.
I've had every.
And I'm here
tragedy
making sad
imaginable.
videos.
Yeah, nice. So, but anyway, so that was that, and the rest of this week, I got my first EDF. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that's right. You
So,
got that jet,
That's
and you
cool. I haven't
landed it
flown
successfully.
Yeah, I literally haven't flown a plane in like 4 years. Like I just never had the itch, and being winter, and I have access to a nice field. So
Winter.
Yeah.
Relatives there. 70 degrees, winter.
Well, it's winter, meaning there's I'm not like focused on heli stuff as much, and so
Sure.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to like play around with something different, and so I bought this Avanti S EDF because I saw one at the field, and it's awesome. It was only like $330. It comes
That's
plug
not
and
bad.
play, and the thing goes like 115 miles an hour. It's got flaps. It's like it does really like a nice flight envelope for a jet. Like you can do knife edge with it. The vertical power is really nice. So and it's actually not too bad to land. It has flaps, and you throw them out. And this is actually the first plane I've ever had that has flaps. So first flight, I just like throw the flaps all the way down. I'm like, oh, let's see what happens. Yeah, it's really nice. I recommend it if you have that itch for something fast. And it runs off Success 5000s. So I just use all my 700 packs in it.
Nice.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
Don't use the Castle Green ECU5, whatever they are, things in it.
Oh, yeah.
One of the guys in my field that got that, he put that in it, and oh my god, those things were hot when he came back down.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's with the jet, so I'm sure you noticed you wanted to fly it wide open the whole time as fast as it'll go.
Yeah. No, it's totally, yeah,
But
exactly.
no, that plane, it looks nice in the air, too. For anyone that, might not fully like jets, that plane looks nice in the air.
It's
super
pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's for how small it is, you think you'd lose it easier, but no, it actually stands out in the sky pretty good. So
Yeah, and they have a little printed circuit board inside that you connect all the servos into, and then it goes from the circuit board to your receiver. And then the wings actually have ribbon cable instead of servo wires, because it has lights built in, it's just flashing lights on all the wings. So they have this ribbon cable, and when you put the wings on, you just pop the ribbon cable in. So it's really nice. The whole setup is really cool. The retracts are great, and then the landing gear has shock absorbers. They bend backwards, so if you kind of land it hard, which I do, it just kind of bounces. So it's really a great jet. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And I decided to try one of those Jetty Assist receivers, which has all the gyro and it's fully integrated with the Jetty transmitter. So you go in there and it has a wizard, and it has a preset for a jet. And you just walk through all of it, and it's got a vibration analysis. It's got everything in it. It's really neat. Even in failsafe, it can do it'll take the model and just put it in level flight until it gets a signal back. So it's really nice system. So I'm pretty stoked with that, and it flies on rails. I mean, you just hit go, and it's just a rocket. So something fun, something different.
Nice.
So yeah, that's it for me. Otherwise, I'm working on installing a new nitro engine. Like I said, got this Tim Jones modified YS, so I'm putting that in the nitro right now. So I'm hoping to maiden that soon. See how that works.
The power.
Yeah, new clutch. Got to put a new clutch in. All that stuff. This is it probably had 600 flights on it, so it
Time
kinda
for a
needed
refresh anyway.
It needed some refresh. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, speaking of clutches and stuff, let's head over to the news where Align thought it was appropriate to put 3 pinions on a helicopter.
Well, okay. To be completely fair, CG.
No, we're not fair here.
Okay.
We'll let Alex be. We'll let Alex be.
Go
fair.
ahead.
We'll let Alex be
not,
fair.
Let me be not a jerk, because I think
Sure.
it's number one. Like, it's so great to see more nitros hit the market, because it's very niche. It's a niche inside a niche, and manufacturers like don't have if they sell 600, 700 XNs, right? That's, if you think about what their margins are, like that's not a lot. So
Yeah.
The market is pretty small for a nitro, so it's great that they decided to release an updated one. One of the huge challenges, and something that we face, is CG, especially
Sure.
with a modern servo layout. And so, like on the Protos Nitro, we developed a brand new custom boom that pulls out 50 grams and really optimized CG. For them, they're obviously leveraging a lot of components, and in going to a larger main gear is an option to push the motor forward. Those are the options they had to work with, and one of the benefits of an Align is they have a lot of interchangeable parts. And so,
It's true.
In this case, they could either go to a new main gear and not leverage all the work that's been done, do a new mold, right? Or
Sure.
they could try something else. In this case, they clearly chose 3 pinions, right?
Yep.
I wonder
Hey.
if they pulled the pinions out of their vacuum cleaners.
No, I think they just took 3 of their drive pinions and stacked them all up so they could use the same parts they've been using.
They had to redo one of those pinions because one's backwards. Or, well, technically, would 2 be backwards or 1?
What?
Either way.
No,
They
I think,
had to
I think
redo a
no, I think
pinion.
it rotates, doesn't it? It's like they're not all up from the same direction, right? One's upside down.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
think
you just
one of
want it
them's
upside down, I guess. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
make it backwards. Okay,
Yeah.
so nope,
Yeah.
it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I don't know. I understand where they're coming from, and to be completely honest, if it works, then it's not really a problem. Now,
I mean, to be fair, right? We already have metal on metal like Saab stuff, right?
Yeah.
They have the metal main
Yeah.
gear.
Just
Uh,
one, though, not 4 points of metal on metal making contact, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be, like, I would predict it to be louder than the engine itself.
well, I don't know if it'll be. I don't think it'll be that loud. It might be. I don't know. But
It is
also with
encased. It is encased, which helps.
with
Yeah,
SAB's
encased
metal
on top
to
and
metal, it's also not moving as fast because it's a metal main gear, right?
Yeah.
No, it's a
pinion to main gear.
No,
Yeah.
it's a standard plastic main gear, right?
They have metal to metal, like main gears, though. They have the ones where they're doing
Yeah.
metal main gears.
Well, where else is it metal to metal? Because
Well,
it's belted everywhere else unless you do the pinion to
Well,
the metal main gear.
Well, the Saab has the belt to the motor, and then they have the secondary stage, which is the metal
on
pinion.
top.
Oh,
It's
that's
the
on the
metal
on the
main gear.
nitro. On the nitro.
Well, the nitro
No,
doesn't
they do
use
it on the
metal.
electrics, too.
They only do it on the electrics. Actually, the nitro. I've never seen a nitro run with a metal gear. Not that you couldn't
Yeah.
put it in, but you have so much less power.
Yeah.
You're less compelled to do it.
Sure. No, I'm just trying to think because okay, sorry. You go motor pinion to first stage
The belt.
with a
yeah, that
belt,
goes to the
and then
lower part,
and then
it
you
goes
go
up into metal.
and then you go up to your second stage pinion, which is metal, to a
Yeah.
main gear, which
Yeah,
is
it's
either
metal.
That
plastic
main
or
gear
metal.
can be
But
plastic.
yes, but even if it is metal, the
Yeah.
only point I'm getting to is you've already reduced the gearing once, so that metal to metal connection is not going to spin as fast as those 3 aligned pinions are.
Yeah, no, 'cause it's not straight off the motor.
Yeah,
Right.
I see what you're
that's
saying,
all.
yeah.
That's all I'm getting at is their metal to metal is already reduced.
Yes.
But not to say it's going. Like I said, I don't know this is going to cause issues. I just think it's going to be maybe a little bit harder to set up, and you might go
Well-
through bearings a little bit faster, especially if you use the aligned starter, which is known to kill those starter bearings.
And if
Well,
you just use aligned bearings.
Okay. Well, to clarify one thing, the starter shaft has nothing to do with those pinions. That's only after the clutch engages, right?
Oh,
So-
that's fair enough. That's
so-
fair enough.
So
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with it, and I don't know that they changed their starter shaft. I could almost guarantee it's the same as it was before.
Oh yeah, sure.
So, and that one, the little cup, like there's a couple mods you can do to it. Like you can Dremel it a little bit and get the cup seated better, and it actually works fine. Like if you know what to do.
Well,
with it.
my Compass Nitro uses the whole align clutch stack, so I'm pretty familiar with it and the starter and everything.
It can work. It can
Pretty
work,
solid.
like fine. They did mention in their release notes that they have some kind of new. I can't understand the English that they're putting in this thing, but they have some new clutch liner.
Oh yeah.
And I totally don't get it what they wrote, and no one has clarified. And I don't think
Dude, it's
anybody
super
knows.
wow much durable.
Yeah. So one of the big complaints all the Align Nitro guys have always had is that the clutch is just not great, not very good. It slips a lot.
Yeah.
And so if they made an improvement there, I think that's great for the guys. Flying
definitely.
that model. So let's hope it's actually an improvement because it's really not clear from what they release.
Yeah, and to be clear too, as much as like I'm having fun giving it grief, I hope it's a great model. Like I never really am hoping for any company to release a model that's not, a good flying model, because at the end of the day, it's our friends and stuff that are flying these models. I don't, I don't wish like problems and stuff on my fellow flyers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think for all of us are like just questioning the pinion change, and I think they did it for CG and to preserve the legacy parts, right? And the fact that they fixed the CG is a huge deal to me.
Sure.
Like a positive thing because it's so difficult, and when your Nitro doesn't have good CG, it just bugs you, right?
Yeah.
Because every stop the model is just moving on you, and you can't do anything about it, and that having all the servos around the main shaft creates a really big problem. So that's how they decided to solve it. And
yeah. Well, and I don't disagree with your assessment. I think you're spot on. I just don't know if I agree that I wouldn't have gone that way. I would have just gone with the bigger main gear. Oh well.
You got to do the big, yeah.
One more price or one more part.
But yeah, for them though, if they did the bigger main gear, then it's a different pinion, and so it's a big slope. Once they go down there, they're basically redoing that whole piece, which I agree. I mean, if the leveraging part wasn't there, that's the right thing to do from a design perspective, because it's just, in this case, they've added parts, they've added bearings. It definitely is. I mean, if you watch the videos, like they showed some recent videos, it's a lot louder. You hear the machine, the metal on metal,
Yeah.
very clearly in the video.
And so you're right, Jonas.
It's not awful. You can hear it.
Sure.
It's not louder than the motor, but it's definitely a totally different sound than the first video. So
Yeah.
I mean.
Can we also accredit their 5-degree progressive lightweight landing gear for crash worthiness?
Oh yeah, crash worthiness. Oh.
So you slam your fucking canopy into the ground first.
Wait. Okay, so do you have those pictures
Oh
open,
my
Nick?
God.
Can you go to
I'm
the
looking
one?
at it right now.
Go to the one with the canopy. That one has what's it say? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember it was great.
Your eyes, in quote, visual, and hands. No, not this one. I'm trying to figure out where it was.
Oh man, their promotional
here.
material.
New,
is-
as
new lightweight canopy. After numbers and testing a recalculation of drag coefficient of physics in the environment of friction resistance, we finally release this brand new lightweight
Yes.
canopy.
Yes, that's
What
it.
the fuck is that sentence?
Hey, they
The drag calculation of
coefficiented all of the physics, dude. They coefficiented
Every physics,
all of them.
all of it.
So
Okay,
every
you-
physics.
You got to give him this though, right? If they just wrote something like normal, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Oh no,
So- And
you are
I almost think
100% right.
It's like genius to put that messed up English in their advertisement and not be embarrassed by it, right? Because it's just a translation, and then people just talk about it for a month. So,
But at the end of the day, this
You could
ultimate
be-
canopy is made of glass fiber and carbon fiber, lightweight, but can achieve the best dynamic performance.
Man. Well, it's not winning any fashion shows, so let's hope it is lightweight.
fashion show. Oh, God.
Oh, okay. I think I'm done bashing it. You guys all good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
yeah,
move on
we'll
to
stop there.
bashing some new ESCs from Scorpion.
Well, I have
No,
no
no, no.
experience with them, so I can't do any bashing. Other than
I have experience.
I'm
yay.
curious about
I've
why
heard such mixed
Scorpion.
things.
What I don't understand with Scorpion is why this line of ESCs all look different from each other. Like, and that's just a thing. I don't know. I just don't really get it, I guess. It's just so bizarre to me. They look like they were developed by different teams, I guess, or something.
Well, Sage,
Really?
then
Really?
answer me this question. Why do all the Compass helicopters look different from each other?
I don't know, because Seb is crazy man.
Why
That's the only answer I can give you. Yeah,
I mean-
Why did all the logo helicopters look different till these last ones?
I don't know.
Snap.
Okay, so
We'll
maybe that
never
wasn't
know.
a good question at all. So
Personally, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's cool.
did you see that they announced the 12S 130 and
The
the
cases are
14S
different.
300?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cases
cases
are
are a
all
little different.
completely different.
It's a little
Especially-
different. It's still kind of
Well, the
It's like similar
12S one is
styling.
way different.
Maybe so
Yeah.
you can just tell them apart immediately?
Yeah, that was the only thing that came to my mind, and if that's what the answer is, then that's howdy doody.
Yeah.
Why
I mean,
not?
I converted my whole fleet to Tribunus.
You're
obviously
liking 'em.
I really like them. The thing that really got me into them was the fact that Scorpion is so focused on the heli market, and no other ESC manufacturer is like that right now. And so
That's fair enough.
and all the features in it are really focused to what we need. And they do things like send telemetry. They log really. They have a really nice like governor mode. They integrate with VBAR control. They integrate with like Brain, and so they're doing all this stuff really well. They're cooperating with the companies to get the most out of them. And to me, it's a big deal to have a company that focused on stuff that we use, because that's not really happening. I'm not going to name brands, but like a year can go by and there's not a single firmware update fixing issues that all of us are having. Right?
Wait, like fires or what kind of?
Like
or
bad
tail
governing.
fire. Yeah, spool up.
Terrible
or whatever, right?
startup,
Having to turn
bad
off active
RPMs.
freewheeling. There's just it's like and
Bad
and
RPM
not a single guy from the
signals.
company will come and tell you, hey, we're working on this. No, instead they're off like with some other priority. Where like when I first got my Tribunus, like literally I was talking to Georges and we were talking about stuff like, oh, it was like some telemetry thing and how it started up, and firmware was out a day later, and they were just really focused on it. And so to me that means a lot. And actually I love them. Like they're performing great. They're just really good ESCs. So I've been stoked since I switched over.
Do
So, and the
Yeah.
tele-
do all
the
three of
telemetry
you
is
have a
solid.
Tribunus?
I don't.
Jonas, do you have any?
I do have one in my 700, yes.
Yeah. Nick, I
just
thought
built
you
one
had
in-
them.
I built one in one of my friend's 700s, but I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I love
Nick is
overheating
Cosmic
my
Fanboy.
Contraonics.
That's right.
I
Oh,
love
that's right. He
overheating,
likes the big
right?
red
You know?
bricks.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have a Cosmic too, but like it just shuts off on me when I hammer.
Yeah.
on it.
I have two. And
I've
they
heard that
shut
so
off on
many
a
times.
7-degree day.
Well, they
Every
used to have like
Contronic
really solid.
shuts off if you look at it the wrong way. It's not always been like that. Actually, my
No,
old Jive
right.
80 took any punishment and it was just fine.
Right.
Hey,
yeah.
mine flew great in like that other 40-degree day. It was amazing. But
Well,
anything
what
more
happened-
than it sucks.
they used to have really solid firmware, and then they had obviously some losses in the company, and different people started changing the firmware, and you couldn't downgrade it, and so this new firmware came out at some point that just started creating all kinds of cutoffs, and that back then Mirko was even flying it, and then no one could figure out why they were shutting off, and that's when he dumped them too. I mean, it was just they're really great ESCs, but if you want to hammer on the thing, they just decide to shut off to protect themselves. You don't know why. And it gets really frustrating after a while. So
Sure.
And the worst thing is, Jive Pros are artificially limited in their maximum current capability just to keep that distance to the Cosmic. A Jive 120 plus HV will shut off hard if you hit 180 amps. Just so you have to buy a Cosmic
Huh.
if you want to go beyond
Yeah.
that. It
Well,
just shuts
I mean-
off hard and does not start back up. which is completely
Yeah, that was.
stupid.
I mean, just having my Cosmic, I really liked a lot of it. I like how it sounds because like it has a different sound in the commutation. Like it sounds really neat, and you just I really enjoy it. And the governor has a different feel to it that I enjoyed, but it's just getting really tired of it shutting off. So
So yeah, that's
Tribunus governor
ESCs for
is
news.
better
there
anyway.
you go. But yeah, the
Actually,
new,
actually, stop.
Halt.
Contronic leaked a Cosmic 220 Ultra HV on their website.
Oh,
A
dude,
bit.
$899.
No,
I have
dude,
no
this one's
clue.
now 1,000 even. They want to make it a nice even
I-
number.
I only know it's been leaked by accident because the web developers put up an experimental page.
You
and
gotta love
I
that.
know.
You know what? No,
Yeah.
this is some bullshit Apple polls where they accidentally leave an iPhone at a bar to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Free
and it's gonna be
advertising.
16s, and no one even knows because Contronic says they're in early development, so it could also be a 300, but who knows?
I mean,
Oops.
they've already fallen behind at this point, kind of. It's
Yeah.
like if
Well,
they don't do a 300, it'd be kind of dumb, I think.
Oh, you guys also missed the new YGE ones. So
Oh,
No,
that's right.
we didn't miss those.
Yeah,
We
the
just don't like them.
actually, I got one for a Protos 380. I haven't installed it yet, but they came out with a new line with telemetry output.
Did you
Has
wrap
it
it in
burnt yet?
fireproofing?
Okay, well, let me say this about like ESC fires because I think I've had the most tragic ESC fires in all of history because I've burned down my own field and lost it because of an ESC fire. Okay, I have yet to own ESC that has not caught on fire. Like,
and
okay,
that is
okay,
just
right?
a ringing endorsement for
And-
all ESCs.
but well, okay, no, Tribunus I have not lit on fire yet. But
Fair enough.
You lit a Contronic on fire?
I didn't fly it enough because it kept shutting down. So I'll say
Exactly. See, they won't
didn't-
light a fire. They just shut off.
But
Um,
every ESC I've owned has been on fire, so it's just a problem with the power feds. Like if something goes wrong, they tend to short on, and once they short on, you're basically shunting all the current, and it just has to emulsify. Like yeah, it's just gonna burn, and there's no way around using power feds. So
Yeah,
it's
but I mean,
just-
there's some
you-
that will admit their stuff has an issue, and others that will take it back, inspect it, and say it's all good, and then it lights on fire 2 flights later.
But
okay.
one thing is,
It hasn't been my experience, but
you
but, I mean,
cannot.
it just happens.
You cannot really give ESCs shit for burning because look at the applications we're putting them in.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not-
really true.
unnecessary for what they're for.
It's completely arbitrary load. It's a governed
Yeah,
output.
and
that
it's instantly on and it's instantly back off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
We put 'em through
you
hell.
Sometimes
No,
you even hand off the entire PWM control to the flybarless, so the flybarless decides what the ESC has to do. So it cannot even protect itself. That's also why they limited the HeliDrive's external governor to pyro motors, because they kind of knew what was going on with the motor when they hand off the PWM. And they weren't
Yeah.
happy about it at all.
Well, you can adjust like throttle response to a safe range, meaning you can make it if you make it instant, sure, it might perform better, but you can put a little dampening in, and it actually protects it.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's a trade-off, right? Somewhere in there that you pick something that works, but they also have control over their bill of materials, right? Meaning they choose who to qualify as their FET manufacturer, and there's certainly manufacturers that have more problems than others, and so you know. They're obviously they can go with the cheapest or they can go with something that's like high quality. So there's part of that component, and obviously if they have a bunch of burning ESCs, they may disqualify a certain vendor. But you know, there's only so many vendors as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cry if an ESC burns down in flight because what the hell, man? You're punishing that thing so hard, like it's beyond what I would ever expect for it to handle. What I have no mercy for is an ESC burning down on plugging it in.
The ground.
Fuck YG.
Oh yeah.
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 Hey, all I have to say is I don't care what ESC it is now. There's a reason I carry a fire extinguisher with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say before we were talking about YG, there up until now there's not been a good ESC for like a 380 size that's lightweight and also has telemetry out for like fuel gauge milliamp consumed. Because you had the Hobby Wing, which was very lightweight package like a Hobby Wing 60, but it sent no current information, so you couldn't take that and compute the milliamps used.
If you fly
Um,
Gropner, you have options, but yeah, no one else.
Ooh, called out.
yeah. So now this YGE came out that has telemetry out. It actually computes its own. It does its own compensation for its like internal shunt resistor where it's measuring current. So it's
Hmm.
actually really nice. So I'm gonna put that in, and so actually the like in the hobby wing, like the brain system and other systems that have to compute the milliamps consumed, they actually take the current data and they integrate it and they figure out how much current you're using. And it's not as precise as when the ESC does it because they can do more compensation. And
Right.
so the YGE does its own, and Scorpion both do their own computation. So I'm looking forward to trying it. It's a nice option now to have something that small that has all the telemetry. And I think this is the first ESC to really do it.
Nice.
So yeah,
Well, yeah, to be and to be compatible with like multiple other transmitters, I get, or like protocols, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, and VBAR already supports the YGEs. I think the telemetry out, and Brain has it now too. So. Guys that are, I don't know if any shops carrying it yet, but so I ordered mine from Europe. But I
Yeah.
think you'll start seeing them show up at like A-Main or other shops pretty soon.
Yeah, I've been flying Gropner ESCs since I got the Gropner transmitter, and they have a good range and they have full telemetry and stuff.
I'm
But
gonna get one and I'm gonna put it in
only
a double
for
380 just to piss everyone off.
only, but it only delivers that information to Gropner receivers and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's not quite the same as what the YG is doing, making it possible for like V-bar control and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Cool.
it's good. There's like new small ones coming out. At least.
Wait, real one quick question. That YG telemetry stream, can the brain pick it up? And
Yeah, we already have support for it.
okay,
And
cool.
they publish the format, so any flybarless, if they want to implement, if they have the capability to do telemetry, then they can do it too.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, and I'm still
So
not sure if the Gropner ESC telemetry goes into the brain or not.
it doesn't. I don't think they published it, so no one
Yeah,
can
I don't
actually
think they
do it.
give out the info, so fair enough.
Yeah, so yeah,
Hard
out of
to
luck, I
expect
guess.
it then.
Yeah. You can reverse engineer it, and that's what happened with Cosmic. Like
Yeah.
they, for a long time they refused to give their spec, and so some guys reverse engineered it. But like they actually now there's a beta release out, or maybe it's alpha, maybe just in development, that actually sends a generic bit stream out, so other systems can use it. So I have a Contronic 160 sitting on the shelf that has that firmware on it, and it works with Brain now. So,
Nice. Huh. Well, we better get to the start of the news show because we're already into this one pretty good. But the big news is Spektrum's new transmitter, the IX12, is coming out.
yes.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've been
Looks cool.
Yeah, I've been going a little crazy about it because I've been like posting, investigating, and I've actually been talking to Horizon a bit because I'm really curious about the potential. I think about 4 years ago, when we started down this path of like integration, how can we do it without having a proprietary transmitter, which takes a lot of money and time. I would say to build a transmitter ground up, you're looking at $2 million about to really get it to where a stage that it needs to be to get it at the level of other transmitters, right? And so that's not something that most companies want to do. Mikado did it over a period of 3 years, invested a ton into it, and came out with a great system. But it's obviously when you have a system that's your own, it's locked down. And so you've seen what's happened with the integration with like Gropner, Jetty, Spektrum. All these things have been happening, and they're all a little bit different, and they're all based on the capabilities of the radio. But the real dream, like 4 years ago, and there was actually some public discussions about this, was something like OpenTX, but like basing it on Android, and having like a complete ecosystem where you could develop third-party apps and have it run on the transmitter. That was the dream, but no one wanted to invest the money to build it. And you saw some like stuff from China show up that kind of did it, but not in a way that the hobby would actually adopt, right? Like it was just a total hack.
Well, it doesn't
It's
inspire any confidence. Like,
right.
radios are one of those things. It's funny because it it's pretty tough for. I will say this, like Free Sky. I think that's how you're supposed to say it. If they hadn't done so much to appeal to the quad guys, I think they'd have been dead in the water.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
airplane guys and helicopter guys are going to look at that and go, who are they? I don't know if I trust my radio link to that. There might have been a few, but the quad guys really proved that system out to being a workable, usable system. And now you see it showing up like on HeliFreak and stuff. A lot more guys.
Part of the problem too is when we're investing $1,000 in a model, like we're accepting a certain cost to participate in the hobby. And that means our feelings on spending more on a transmitter are very different than a guy spending $100 on a quad, right? And over time, we just get very used to putting out that kind of money. And so investing in a good transmitter seems wise because I'm flying a $2,000 700, right?
Yeah.
So it just you kind of have a different perspective on spending money in the helicopter hobby.
Totally.
In quads, you don't have that. In fixed wing, there's the cheap low end stuff, which guys were flying, the OpenTX, Tyrannus stuff. But you get into anything bigger, then it's the same thing again happening where you're willing to invest in a higher end transmitter.
Well, not
And
only willing
sure.
to, you think it's more necessary. You think of it as a more stable radio environment to be operating in, for lack of like anything better to.
That's right, and all your friends around you aren't flying it OpenTX, so
Yep.
you're just going to end up for the average guy, you're going to end up just buying what your friends are flying, so you can get the help because initially you're just overwhelmed anyway.
Sure.
But,
and a lot of the guys go to that freak guy stuff, the quad guys, because they all slap on a black sheet module to the bag. As to where before on stuff like Spektrum, you couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Now you're able to, though.
Yeah, they built a whole ecosystem around options, right? And solving problems that we didn't have to solve for long range, penetration of the signal, all this stuff, right? And the OpenTX allowed them to easily adapt to that, where if you're Spektrum or any of these other companies, they just have this shut down ecosystem and you can only use what they say you can use.
Yep.
So that really impacted them, and they saw a lot of RC shift to FPV, a big market like vertical pop up, and they were left way behind, and that was a problem. And so they saw this Android as an opportunity to kind of maybe pull back some of that crowd. And for us, years ago, we were like dreaming of this, but we just didn't want to invest $1 million into it. Being in the heli industry, it's just like not an easy way to earn the money back, and especially given that when we were thinking about it, there was already ways to integrate that could leverage existing technology.
Oh, yeah.
It turns out that worked really well. I mean, you see what we have today, and the integration options are actually really great. I would say that all the integration options today, besides V-bar control, like you generally need to do some initial setup with your PC. Where V-bar control, because it was a complete end-to-end system, you're able to do that setup from the very beginning, scratch setup, and it created a real easy environment for the guy to just like do it. The PC wizards are super easy too. It's just you had to add the step of plugging in your PC. So V-bar control had that advantage. I think now with this Android that they're adding, if they say they're going to add an API. API is basically the ability for third-party developers to write an application and interface to the radio. And so the way they've architected this IX12 is they have the Android CPU and then they have the radio CPU. They're two separate things writing two separate processes, right, and communicating together. So they developed a protocol between the Android half of the radio and what they're calling the channel CPU to talk together. And so the idea is when you first turn on the radio, if the model was already selected before, you immediately have control of the model. Because it's an Android system, it takes 60 seconds to boot, right? So you can't even change models the first time you boot it for like 60 seconds. And that's certainly, when you first read that, you're like, okay, that sucks. I'm not going to wait a minute. But like a mobile device, the normal way you use it in a given day is you boot it once and then you sleep it. And so when you turn it on after that, it's instant on. And so it has a very long sleep time, like a mobile device, right? And then at the end of the day, you can switch it off completely. And so they're saying like you can expect 8 to 10 hours of continuous flying with their 1S 6000 milliamp LiPo, or actually it's lithium ion.
Yeah,
So,
I'm interested to see how the real world numbers on that work out. I've got a 1S 2P 5000 in my Gropner, and I get 6 hours of flight time maximum.
yeah, it just depends.
This is hilarious.
And they have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on top of the radio protocol, which I find that the radio protocol tends to be like what saps your battery for sure.
so normally the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are off, right? So those are not actually power problems, right? And you can, and just like any Android device, you go in and you switch them on. So
Sure, but if
I
you
have to
turn them
feel,
on, don't turn them off, then they're running.
yeah, but I mean, I think by default they're off. So if you do
Fair.
that, you can drain more battery power
Yes.
for sure.
I'm just
But
saying. I'm just saying there is a use case where, and I'm guessing that their example doesn't. Their example, like any phone manufacturer, is probably your battery life not necessarily running the normal apps and connections that people tend to leave on and forget about.
yeah, for sure.
But just a thought I had when I read that.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the compromises with it. But I think the big gain here is that it runs applications, any application off the Google Play Store. They certainly at this point, any application you run has no access to the channel processor, meaning
Right.
if you can run the Brain Android app today on it in landscape mode and it works, and you can like through Bluetooth connect to your model and tune it. And then there's another option that it's called OTG USB. All it means is that the radio can act as a host. So you can take a USB cord that has micro USB on both sides, plug it into the radio, and plug it into your flybarless, and tune it directly. And so
That's pretty cool.
So applications like the Brain Android app, we have to add OTG support to make that work in case you don't have a Bluetooth module, which is a very nice thing. I think that's a really cool thing. But all the stuff that they're allowing today is not real integration, meaning for what we really want is an RF link and to configure the flybarless over the RF link.
Right.
And for that, and then basically run a full app that takes over the radio. It basically says, okay, you're running a Brain, and here's all the stuff you need to run a Brain, and build in all that stuff in the application to where it feels like one system. And so I've been talking to them a little bit, and that's something they really want to do. So that is the most exciting piece of this. If they want to enable an API and allow, it may be certain, it could be all third party, or maybe just certain ones they license it to. They haven't like dictated the model of this yet.
Sure.
But what it basically means is a completely new era of integration for flight control systems using this app. And the thing about Android is it's a huge community of development that's out there, and everyone already has the expertise in developing an Android. So that means we're going to get really rich content really quickly. It's not going to take years. Where like if you're developing for VBAR or you're developing for Jetty, right? It's a completely proprietary system, and no one but the guy that does it knows how to do it.
Well,
so
and this won't even just be for RC, I don't think, the way that we tend to think about it. Spektrum already has, for whatever reason or another, pretty decent penetration into some research. I've seen plenty of robotics videos where guys are using Spektrum radios and stuff to run these like serious, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of research and stuff in these robotics, and they're running with Spektrum radios. Those guys are going to nerd out on this stuff too, and be wanting an API to be able to write way more feature-rich software into their controls.
Guys, can I say a
it's
thing?
really intriguing. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's three things actually. Okay, first, I find it funny that they advertise 8 to 10 hours of battery life, whereas my old DX8, I charged that thing twice a year.
Yeah. I charged my DX8 more often than that, and I had the LiPo in it too and stuff. But I know what you're saying.
I have the LiPo.
For sure.
No, it's they're not touting it. It's an
it's
obvious
just
trade-off.
Yep.
And it's one of the first questions, and it's certainly you have to treat it like a mobile device. Where if you're flying like at a fun fly, you're probably going to charge it every night. I will say there's one good thing though. It charges over USB. I think they said up to 2 amps or 3 amps in 3 hours. You can use any of those little power packs that you've got, like for your cell phone, with this transmitter too.
That's pretty rad.
So,
that's cool.
See, that's where it beats my Graupner for sure. It takes me 8 hours to charge this thing. Because the wall adapter is like 0.3 amps or something like that. It's just like ridiculous.
Wow. My VBC charges in like under an hour, but you can also use USB. I never tried to use a power bank actually.
Okay, so what else were you going to say?
Then I found it interesting that you could basically make a botch makeshift VBC with legacy V-bars by downloading the V-bar configuration thingy, plugging a Bluetooth dongle into your V-bar, and going from there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
anything with
if-
Bluetooth, anything that has Bluetooth functionality and an Android app is going to have that ability, which is really
So-
cool.
And
With
if
Like,
they're-
Beast X2, you'll be able to do that because they now do Bluetooth Android.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that way. I would say though, like Bluetooth has limited range, and you have to connect, and it's not seamless. And,
No, it's not perfect.
And you really want the RF link to get the full experience and the fully integrated feel, because when you're connecting to Bluetooth, it's not like built in perfect with your radio, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to enable this already. Like today, we have Spektrum integration. We use what's called a text engine. So what it does is we generate this menu in the brain itself and send it over telemetry to the text engine on the radio, and it displays the whole menu that way. You can and you use the transmitter sticks to scroll through it, right? So it's not ideal at all, right? It works, but it's not ideal. And so if they give us an API, it'll be completely seamless, and because it's based on Android and this whole display graphic system, it'll be way beyond any integration anybody's seen today. Way better with like integrated logging stuff, telemetry, like changing way to do macros between the things, like just things that are so powerful that can happen once this API exists. So I'm excited about it for sure.
I will keep my eye on it. I will tell you, I'm intrigued. I'm excited about the ecosystem. I would have pre-ordered one of these radios had the screen not been under the neck strap, and I am not being dramatic. I'm not kidding. I straight up would have pre-ordered one if the screen was above the neck strap.
I will say one thing about the screen. It's just because
And I understand. Well, I will say too. I understand why they did it. They're leveraging an iconic shape of a transmitter,
no, that's not why they did it. That's not why they did it.
Okay.
So this is coming. I have a background in a little bit of RF stuff, and it is really, really difficult to put a color screen like that at top around where the RF antennas are and not compromise the link quality. Very
Fair
difficult.
enough. Okay, I'll
And
take
so
that as a good excuse.
It's seriously hard, and so like in like the transmitters that don't have it, I mean you see most transmitters putting it at the bottom because of that. They want to put the antennas at the top, the screen at the bottom. Some transmitters like Jetty put it at the top, but you open it up and they've gone to some extreme length to try to like get the antenna working properly. Through
Doesn't Fry Sky have a colored screen at the top though?
the Horus. Yeah.
And they're one of like the cheaper companies, so I mean, to me that kind of seems like a.
You can do it, but there's always there's always a compromise when you
There's
do it.
yeah, I'm sure. Here's the thing. I don't know. It's like when people. Okay, I was one of the first people, kind of like in my circle and everything, to go to a smartphone, and then I was again one of the first people to go to a smartphone with a the larger format screen. Every time people were like, "Why do you want this, thing?" Because they weren't into it at the time, and it's the same thing to me. I want to
Oh my
interface with
God.
that screen. The screen,
remember.
like for whatever reason, yeah, I don't look at it when I'm flying or whatever. But if I'm working at the bench, if I'm trying to tune a model, if I'm trying to set a model up, I want to be able to have my neck strap on and use the screen without having to hold the transmitter necessarily like in a weird position or keep my thumb on the strap to keep it out of my way. I just it's my 100% largest pet peeve in a radio is to put a beautiful display on it that is going to be so useful for so much stuff and then just make me have to work so hard to use it. I have the same complaint with my current Gropner radio. Like it's.
I was gonna say, aren't you flying one with one?
Yeah, and this is if I could have bought the Jetty at the same time, I would have. But it just wasn't. It wasn't in my budget. You know what I mean? The same way the Gropner was, and for the features that I got, and that was my one. That was the one compromise in this radio, in my opinion. It still is. Like I absolutely love this system. It's dead simple. It's super powerful. I have integration with all my flybarless units. But I would have gone for this new Spektrum had it changed the form factor. But for me,
So, I'm Jetty now, and I actually really like the system. I mean, Jetty's incredibly powerful in terms of what it does, but at the same time, doing the integration and you're completely limited by what the company has, and also by what they're willing to implement. And then the next radio that seems to improve on some of it, the DS24, is $2,000. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Oh,
that
yeah,
is
no, it's crazy talk.
it's not interesting to anybody that's actually in the hobby besides maybe the jet guys with $2,000 or $20,000 rigs. So and besides that, like, they showed the DS24 as a new thing that was going to ship soon a year ago, and they haven't delivered. And so back then I was like, sure, I'll buy it, why not? I was really happy with what was going on with the Jetty, but I mean the price was wrong, but okay, it looks nice. And it looked like it was pretty powerful. But now, the $699 or the $599 price point without receiver, with the Android ecosystem, this is where the industry is going to go.
That
At
blew
some
me
point-
away. That
Yeah.
I wanted to get to that. That blew me away. How does the same company who just brought us the DX20 for like $2,000 was the price tag they put on that radio?
Yeah, I mean
And then they
key-
turn around and bring us the IX12 for $599. That's just like
Well,
that is in tune with the market.
So a lot has happened in the mobile market in terms of like display technology, processors that have really changed the economy of scale to implement that stuff.
Fair,
And
but the
you know what,
DX20 came out six
I know-
months
3
ago.
months ago. Yeah.
I know, but I don't have access to their bill of materials, so I can't
Sure.
tell you. But I bet you
Do
the
we?
new display and the new processor is cheaper than what they had in there. Like I'm
Do
not
we
even.
actually
Yeah,
wouldn't
it
know
very
what-
well could be. Very well could be.
What the
but
display is.
it's just, I think it surprised a lot of people because the ire that was brought on, especially from the helicopter community, by the DX20, that's what has become expected from them, right?
Yep.
So this is a whole new ball game for Spektrum.
It is, and I think they're at the point to where they're losing market share, and they needed to do something to change. And there's like I've worked with, I've been a beta tester. I was a beta, not for the last couple of years, but I was like a beta tester for 4 years. I like in that era of my RC career, I had constant ideas of interesting things to do that I was sharing with them, and they would not be interested in implementing any of them. And later, a lot of those ideas became real on other systems, and that's part of why they lost so much market share. They just weren't willing to innovate. They were very stuck in what they were willing to do and what they could do. And so I think it took like this deep change in the industry with these other radios, and everyone just like ignoring what was going on with their stuff to really force them to revisit their strategy. And I think that's what we've seen here. And I was very concerned when I saw this radio announced that they would keep it closed and not allow this API. So I pre-ordered one and then like canceled it because I saw some information they posted that said, hey, they're completely separate. Don't worry about it. The Android app can't talk to the control processor. I'm like, okay, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Because that is the exact value that I see. And they're basically saying here that like they are separate and it's firewalled. And I was immediately disappointed, and I'm like, oh, forget this thing. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. But then, like, it was not even like the same day. They came back and they said, well, we really want to work with third party. We do want to enable something. And so I'm really hoping it's a priority for them, because if they do make it a priority and they do deliver an API, they will have the richest third party applications available. And it will just force people to move to it because there's things they want to do that people are doing that they just can't get in any other system.
Well, I can
So-
tell you that if they really do open it up and they allow they release the API and allow you guys to really do what can be done with that, I will get one. I will get one. But
Yeah.
Can we
I'm gonna
That's where
wait
it's
at this
exciting.
quickly
point.
get back to the display, please? Because you ran away before I could say anything.
Oh.
So do we know what display they have on there? What kind of display? Like size and
It's
resolution
a
and
color screen.
I think it's isn't it 4 inches?
I'm not sure
think
on
it-
all the
hold
specs
on.
on that.
I think it's 4 inches. and
Because-
it's not that big. I think that's one of the complaints. It's every phone is 5 inches or bigger these days,
Yeah.
and they went with a 4-inch screen. So I think there's some disappointment being voiced about that. It is a plastic screen. It's not a Gorilla Glass.
Yeah, that's kind of
Oh.
tough, but we'll see
And
how that
that's
pans out.
And that's another disappointment. So I think anyone running this radio, and I'll have one in a few weeks. So mine's on order. It's due January 5th, I think, or end of December. But I think anyone running this radio immediately has to put a screen protector on it. Don't even use it. Don't let your don't let anything touch it besides the screen protector first thing.
Yeah, you're one of the glass
That
ones
reminds
too.
me of my Switch. Anyway, what I was thinking, if they put like a USB feed from like the gimbals to the Android device, you could run a simulator on that. If the display
Yeah.
was good enough, you could
Yeah,
could run
so
a sim
all
on
you
your
would need is
radio.
all you would need is that same API that Alex is talking about, because then you could get the control inputs from the control computer.
Right.
Yeah, because
And
there
so-
are
and-
sims on iOS and Android that are not even bad. Absolute RC Heli Sim is basically a lower spec version of Clearview, and it doesn't even fly bad for a mobile simulator. So if they could feed stick inputs into that, you'd have a simulator on your radio.
I
How
think
cool would that be?
I think they're thinking about that. The other thing that's come up for them is a way to use it as an FPV monitor, but it's not
Oh,
designed
yeah.
to be it's not designed to be low latency,
Sure.
and there's no video in. So there's a couple problems with that idea, but it could be a next generation that maybe adds that. But the key is they have the platform now, right?
Yep.
Now that they have the Spektrum Airware app that runs on Android that can talk to the radio control processor. So now it's just like a question of what they want to build with that in the future.
One thing you guys mentioned is the price on it, and one of the things they were trying to go for with this obviously was the quad stuff,
I
because they
think so,
mentioned
too.
a lot about quads. But the price to me for quad guys is still too high. They're
I-
all going to go with their free sky stuff that's $350 compared
I-
to $600.
I don't think so.
Wasn't it like
I don't. I
1,000?
think 600
I mean,
is
all the
high
guys that
end,
I've
but I
talked
think
to,
it
though-
gets you down into the ballpark. I think it gets you
But
low.
the
in
quad
it.
guys that I've talked to so far, they said that they would just go with their the free sky stuff. Like they already have it, they know it works.
Sure,
They all know
sure,
how
but
to,
this is
like,
gonna-
mount to and everything.
They might not convert a lot of the guys that are running free sky right now, but there's new FPV pilots every single day.
It'll take time, and I think you're right. It is more expensive than that stuff, but it also provides a lot more than they're providing. Especially running a lot of these. They already showed a bunch of apps that run on it, like to tune the PID tuning and all the stuff. The OTG USB support, the Bluetooth support. They already have like for the FPV guys, they have a lot of lap timers that run over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and it runs seamlessly on the radio to start and stop it, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that, when guys start seeing it and the apps start to be optimized, like it'll be compelling enough to where it's worth more because you get a lot more.
Yep.
But don't some of their modules and the quad stuff have lap timers already built in to like
Yeah.
the module itself?
The radio, I will. You talking about the RF stuff on it?
Yeah, like how they're all attaching like the modules. I thought some of them had like quad
So-
timing.
Well,
built
they
in.
added a serial port for, I guess, some of the more popular FPV modules. So
Yeah,
Yeah, because everyone has
they're
the,
plug and
like,
play.
Team Black Sheep.
No, they are
Yeah.
totally trying to support all of those guys, which is
Yeah,
Has
that's
it-
what I mean. But like, well, so these guys have to go out and buy a $600 radio plus their Team Black Sheep thing that they're all going to attach to it.
Well,
So
they probably already have it. It already works. So there's like a TBS Crossfire. That's
Yeah,
basically,
Crossfire. That's what it is.
It basically goes like 20 miles. You can control your model for like 20 miles. It's insane, right? It's like
Yeah.
everything illegal about FPV in one device. But but I mean, guys say it's justified. It's 900 megahertz and it has like a lot of penetration if you're flying in a building or through like woods. So a lot of guys like want
Right.
it just for that, right?
Right.
But yeah, basically it has a serial out that has power on it, and so the TBS Crossfire just plugs in it, and you just basically attach it to the back of the radio. Doesn't have a bay. It has a serial out, and then you're done. It works. And they're adding a whole bunch of support for additional RF options. So they basically, instead of putting a bay in, they're looking at the next generation, which is to have these separate serial port with this attached module, and those already ship, and those guys already own those. And they're already using the same module with the
Yeah, but like Sage was saying, all the guys that already have them out there, they're not going to switch because they're already on their free sky stuff. But the new guys coming in, they're going to look at it as I have to buy the Crossfire and my radio.
Well, you
Possibly.
don't have to buy it. you don't have to buy it unless you want long range, and no matter what, if you buy an OpenTX, you still have to buy the Crossfire, right? So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and that's a
But I mean,
$200
it's
system.
still exactly.
Well,
So this is now an $800 radio for a quad guy.
Nick, you got to remember too that Horizon still has, compared to a lot of what's in our hobby, has really good penetration into what's left of the local hobby shops. And even in a small town like that I live in, there are plenty of new guys all the time going into our local hobby shop looking for quad stuff. And
Yeah.
when you can get it, if the other local hobby shop owners are anything like ours, he's trying to sell you that new Spektrum radio.
The other big sell is their support, at least in the U.S. It's not. I heard it's not been good in Europe, but in the U.S., if you have a free sky thing, you have to pretty much buy a new one, right?
Yeah. Well, they sell all the
Verizon-
parts. That's the difference too with Free Sky you can buy
they
the
have
parts
to.
for that radio.
But most guys
That's
don't
true.
feel good about opening the radio.
Yes,
and,
you're absolutely right. You're right.
Yeah, and so I mean, you get a different service level. So those are compelling things, I think, for a lot of guys. So, but also remember, this is their first Android radio, and so they're going to see how the adoption goes. It's going to be a year before they see where they're really at. They're probably in 2018 going to release a lower end version. Right?
I could see
Yeah,
that.
that
I
would
could
definitely
totally
be
see
good if
that.
they did something like that.
Yeah, so they're probably going to go after maybe the $499 price point pretty soon, or maybe
Yeah.
$399.
$349, I bet you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
say 350 because that's
That's
what
what the DX8
Fry
used to be.
Skies are.
Yeah, so
The Free Sky things, that'll be the exact competition. That'll definitely give them like a run for their money.
Yeah.
Like, once they do that.
But they've basically made a radio that does a lot more than the current radios can for the
Yeah.
FPV guy, the heli guy, and the fixed wing guy. And they kind of put it at a very good price point to where all these guys are thinking about it now. And it's a pretty high end radio still, but it's still inexpensive. And so I'm sure they'll flush out the product line in the future. But I think they started at the right place because if they
I
came
agree.
out with if they started out with a low end radio right off the bat, like none of us would be even considering it, right?
Right.
So they basically picked a radio that appeals to all verticals to start, and then they're probably going to figure out what to target next.
Yeah, just go down from there.
Yeah.
I think it's smart.
So anyway,
So-
I'll have one soon. We'll see how it goes.
That was
Nice, yeah, I'll be
30
bugging
minutes
you
on a
about it.
radio.
So we're going to talk about rolling circuits, and one of my favorites. I tend to do this way too much, and it's like one of my old standbys. It's called a rolling funnel, and the idea is you're basically doing a funnel, and you're rolling through the whole circuit, and you can do it different ways. You can do it like kind of like smack, or you can do it like very like wide with a lot of rolls in it. And so I'll just start one that's just kind of basic. You just come around, and you're just basically you're just using a lot of aileron, and you're pushing the sticks a little bit into the corners to kind of change the angles as you're going through it. And so this is your rolling funnel. And you can do it from a lot of different orientations. So you can do it like nose down. It's another way to do it, which is a lot harder.
So if I'm
That
trying
looks
to,
cool. So the way to start it out is you can come down and just kind of stop it at this angle, like you're going to do a funnel, and then you roll it over, and then you roll it back over. So you're just kind of doing this motion. And you can tighten it up. You can tighten it up like this, where it's almost like a tick-tock, but it's the same inputs. And just do it. You can do it in slow motion, where you're 1, 2. And actually, if you do it slow with a lot of pitch, you can kind of make it into a smack maneuver too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
can't do
basically just a widened up rotating TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
kind of
similar-
is.
similar
That's
to that.
kind of what it starts out as, and what you can progress it into if you tighten it up. So yeah, what I would say to learn this is just divide it up really into what I'm doing currently is just kind of roll it from one position into the next, like in 4 different, like
You
almost
do,
rainbows with a bit of aileron, and then
and
just
you
keep
do have to
rolling
feed
through
in
it.
some elevator to change the angle as you're going through it. So if you look at my sticks, I'm feeding an elevator as I come around, and that just changes the angle. that comes through.
Yep.
And then you can reverse it. So I like to. So it's actually really dramatic if you can do it and then reverse it like in a mirror image. So I'll
You
do
can
one
also
here
do
where I'm
this
doing-
with elevator as a flipping funnel, basically. What I'm doing currently, which looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
The
that
one,
one's really cool.
yeah, the one
actually,
thing you just need to consider is that you basically roll against the direction of your funnel.
right, that's true. So yeah, here's
Otherwise,
what I'm
it's
doing
gonna
right now.
be.
Oh, I ran out of battery power. Why does it do that?
Because
I'm
we
gonna
simulate
sim.
that.
You can
You
set it
turn the
to.
better
You can turn
emulation
off the emulation.
Oh, I
Yeah.
should turn it off. So yeah, like Jonas was saying, you do a flipping version like this. So I'm doing one now where I'm just flipping around on the, and you're using elevator now to do it instead. And that's a lot of fun too. And actually, one of the maneuvers I like, you can sit here and do a TikTok, like aileron TikTok, and then come around and do a little circuit and come back and then do the TikTok. It's pretty cool. It's a really fun
And
maneuver.
you can also progress one rolling funnel into another by simply like coming around,
Like
kind
doing
of
a
stopping, flipping it over, and rolling on. Except that I smashed it into the ground because I always do that when we demonstrate stuff. Cool.
like a Mobius, right?
Yeah,
like
kind
come
of
around.
like an 8.
But you have to, but then you have to
rolling
reverse the inputs. Well, yeah, so that's the super advanced version.
Yeah, and like you don't have to. No, you don't even have to reverse your rolling direction if you flip it. That, like, I'm coming around to the center, stopping, flipping, keep rolling left. That's kind of fun. I wonder if you. Wow. Oh, this is gonna be difficult. Flip after every roll. Yeah.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
so there's the Mirko version. Here, I'll show you the Mirko
Yeah,
version. I
yeah.
can't really do it very well. But what he does is he goes in between tail down and nose down, right? And so this is something I saw in one of his music flights to music. But basically,
Yeah,
you
I've seen that at
you go
Urcha.
boom, boom, and then forward, boom, boom, forward, boom, boom, forward.
Did he
boom,
flip
boom.
inwards or outwards?
I think he flips inwards, but I'm not sure.
Inwards? Yeah, inwards works. Yeah, that actually works. Just gotta think about
That's-
what I'm doing. Holy.
And then there's another variation of this, which kind of turns into a flip talk. So you can start it and then reverse direction. So you go boom, boom, and it's kind of a cool maneuver that just kind of mixes it up. But it's like the same fundamental boom, and then boom. So you can do some really cool things with it.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Nice. And I got something else I need to work on.
But it's one of those maneuvers that like comes in. It just can turn into a lot of interesting orientations, and it really helps you like work on those orientations. And it looks cool.
Also,
It mixes it up.
flip
Most
talk.
people don't do this stuff.
I love that flip talk you did. Never done this before, but
The
it's
flip-
fun.
This flip talk,
Yeah.
or the other one, this one like this, where you basically go.
Wait. Let me spectate. Spectating. Do it again.
You talk about this one.
That with just vertical with elevator.
Oh yeah, that one's cool too. So you go.
I love any of the knife edge elevator flipping maneuvers. That's all like some of the coolest stuff to me.
Yeah, there is a lot of variation you can do with this stuff.
Yeah, it looks cool. Oops. The nose down is a lot of fun too. I like doing the nose down stuff.
Yeah, I
You
need
don't
to.
see nose down done with it a lot.
No, I think it's. Well, there's like you guys are saying, there's so much variation with all these funnels and stuff. It's tough to learn a lot of the different variations in all the different orientations. So I think a lot of people like tend to just practice the stuff that's a little bit further out there in the orientations they're really comfortable with.
I think it looks really dramatic if you can do it, like do a complete circuit and then reverse it and keep it the same number of flips and the same diameter. It looks really nice. If you can do that low and precise, you don't have to do it fast. And then reverse directions. I think that's really cool. That's a good way to do it. And then a lot of times, if you're just like kind of in the smacky mood, you do the same thing, but you do it almost like a rotating TikTok, but a little bit bigger circuit. It's really cool. And you could use a lot.
But also puts a lot of float on your helicopter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Actually, with the nitro, you really have to vary the rate that you do it because it just loads everything up.
Yeah, my Logo 690 was at the edge of bogging down to unflyable when I did full rolling funnels with full roll and lots of elevator.
Yeah, because you can pretty much be full cyclic on this if you want. Like right now, I'm full cyclic, and I'm just keeping it around, and it's like seriously loading it.
God, it makes me smile every time you say cyclic.
I know.
It makes me cringe.
Too bad.
What the
and
hell
want
is
to
this?
destroy
No.
something.
Too bad.
No.
Too bad for you guys.
Hey, no. Like I said, that's the way I say it too, but I just don't say it in front of these guys anymore. 'cause-
Well, you're wrong.
Because it's wrong.
I say a lot of things wrong, and I'm okay with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Triggered.
Plural.
I'll say one
Jesus.
other fun
That's
maneuver. This is like off topic, different maneuver, but I really like the I guess it's like flipping hurricanes. Have you seen these? Those are
Yeah,
those
there's
are
lots
super
of
fun.
cyclic in them.
A lot of cyclic. So you just come around and you flip through the whole thing.
Yeah,
And then-
basically the inverse of rolling, flipping, funnel.
Yeah, it's super fun. And if you the one I really like is if you reverse directions. So if you do this flipping circuit, and you can stop it right in front of you and then reverse directions, I think it's really dramatic.
Yeah, that's a cool maneuver. I struggle with the flipping circuits like that just because it's so. I have such a hard time keeping it up on knife edge.
You do have to.
I think I could do it. I just need to go out more than once a month. Really.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I remember the first time I saw it was at a fun fly in Morgan Hill, and one of Tim Jones, he was at this is 2010 I think, and he does it super quick, like lightning fast. He comes around, and then he just does this quick transition, where it's like right in your face, super quick. And that was the first time I saw it, and then I didn't see it as a circuit until later.
All right, Alex, I gotta ask you now. I should just ask this of all the guests. Can you do the revolver maneuver?
I don't even know what it is. Oh,
Ah,
I'm at a resume screen. What happened?
Oh, I don't know.
Just click
Sometimes they'll
resume.
do that. If
It'll
you just hit
join right back
resume,
in.
it should join you right back in.
Oh, that was weird. I don't even know what a revolver is.
Okay.
This weirdness.
The disc does a front flip, but the helicopter also flips, but off axis. That's the best way I can describe
I
it.
don't know if I'm doing it. I'm just changing cyclic. Oh, keep pausing.
Stop lagging.
What happened?
Who's
I don't know.
joining?
I lost it. What
Someone
happened?
might have joined us. Nick? No? Nick?
No, my thing messed up.
Oh.
You should be good now.
Oh, there it
I
goes.
see everyone flying efficiently.
Oh, mine went
thanks.
back to resume
Oh,
screen again.
back
Okay.
to resume again.
I mean, I
And
froze. I don't know
resume.
if that's what caused it, but
Okay.
That's okay.
I think I just got into it.
Because I just
Let's see.
I can't do it well enough to really. Yeah, Jonas was kind of doing it, right? That you're flying the 7666, right, Jonas?
I'll
Yep.
have to spectate to see.
yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Help.
you almost had it.
So you just give him rudder input and change.
Something
Well,
is
yeah,
something
the-
is lagging. Why is it lagging? Stop lagging. I know I can do it sometimes.
It's just an
Excuses.
awesome maneuver. I'm just failing at it.
Oh, you're actually changing rudder direction.
Yeah, rudder
Yeah,
and cyclic direction
Right.
change.
Yeah, Jesse does that really well.
Your
The-
cyclic and
the-
rudder have to be off phase 90 degrees.
Yeah,
Like-
it's exactly what it is.
We gotta get Jesse on here. He could do it.
Cool.
Well, he
so
does- yeah, it was part of his routine at Urcha.
the only
Yeah, he's
person
really
I've
good.
ever really seen do it well is Ben Stork, and that's where I first saw it done.
Yep.
But me and my buddy call it the revolver. I've never heard it named as anything.
Bro, you gotta make a Facebook video doing it, and then you can name it, and it'll be named after you.
Yeah, but I can't do it. That's the problem.
Well, You better start learning.
You can do it, man.
Got it.
Maybe.
We all
We'll
somewhat
see.
believe in you.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Lost it. I had it. I had it. I had it. I was in it.
All right.
I maintained
Oh,
it.
man.
Oh my
Nobody,
God.
Anyway.
nobody saw it. Doesn't care.
We have it on
Exactly.
video.
Thank you for joining us, Alex. This episode was a blast. We got into all kinds of stuff. It's been such a
Got it,
crazy
got it.
news month.
Lost
So it kind of
Yeah.
took over everything, but it was fun. It's
Yeah,
kind of fun to talk about new stuff. We haven't had a
Thanks,
chance to
yeah.
do that.
Yeah, a lot's happened in the hobby. Stuff has changed for sure.
Moving and shaking, it's a good thing. Well, if you guys haven't, come leave us a like on Facebook or leave us a comment. All the hate mail goes to Nick. Let's see what else we got to say. Subscribe to the feed, and that's it. Like we covered it once before, but I guess I'll say it again. It doesn't hurt to repeat. We're down to one a month through the next, through the winter months, and then when we come back, we'll be doing one every 2 weeks. So, thanks again for joining us, everybody.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Catch you next
a lot
time.
of fun. Good
Yeah.
time.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye.